You think you know wrestling? You think you understand what real competition looks like? Well, think again. Because what happened on the 23rd of September 2025 during NXT wasn't just a match, it was a declaration of war that's going to change everything you thought you knew about professional wrestling. While Femi and Trick Williams were tearing the house down in what should have been the match of the night, TNA Wrestling decided to crash the party like uninvited guests at a wedding, except these guests brought chaos, controversy, and a message that sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling industry. But here's what's got me absolutely furious, and what should have every wrestling fan's blood boiling right now. The wrestling media is treating this like it's just another surprise appearance or some cute little crossover moment. Are you kidding me? This wasn't a friendly handshake between promotions, this was TNA making a statement that they are tired of being treated like the little brother in professional wrestling. And you know what the most infuriating part is? Half the so-called wrestling experts on social media are acting like this invasion was planned, like it was some corporate-approved storyline cooked up in boardroom meetings. Wrong. This felt raw, this felt real, and it felt like TNA saying we're done playing nice with the wrestling establishment. Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly in the comments below. When was the last time a wrestling moment made you feel like anything could happen? When was the last time you watched wrestling and felt that electric uncertainty that made the hair on your arms stand up? Because that's exactly what TNA delivered when they invaded NXT. Picture this: Femi, the absolute monster of NXT, is locked in battle with the charismatic Trick Williams. The crowd is on their feet, the intensity is through the roof, and then bam! The arena goes dark, the TNA music hits, and suddenly we're not watching NXT anymore, we're watching wrestling history unfold before our very eyes. But let's talk about what this really means, because while everyone else is focused on the spectacle, I'm looking at the bigger picture that should have every wrestling promoter terrified right now. TNA didn't just show up, they showed up during one of NXT's biggest matches, featuring two of their top stars, and they made it clear that nowhere is safe from their reach. Think about the audacity it takes to pull something like this off. While WWE and AEW are playing their corporate chess games, carefully planning every move months in advance, TNA is out here playing by guerrilla warfare rules. They're reminding everyone that wrestling is supposed to be unpredictable, that it's supposed to make you feel like you're witnessing something that wasn't supposed to happen on television. And here's another question for the comments: be brutally honest, how many times in the past year have you been watching WWE or AEW and thought, I know exactly what's going to happen next? Because TNA just proved that wrestling can still surprise us, can still make us feel like we're watching something dangerous and uncontrolled. The invasion itself was perfectly executed chaos. Just as Femi was building momentum against Trick Williams, and let's be real, both of these guys were putting on an absolute clinic, the TNA roster stormed the ring like they owned the place. The security couldn't stop them, the officials were scrambling, and for a few precious minutes, it felt like we were watching wrestling from a different era. But what's really got me fired up is how this exposes the sanitized, overproduced nature of mainstream wrestling today. When TNA invaded, it felt real. It felt like anything could happen. It felt like wrestling should feel. Meanwhile, the other major promotions are so worried about their streaming deals and corporate partnerships that they've forgotten what made wrestling special in the first place. Here's what I want to know, and drop this in the comments: do you think WWE and AEW are too comfortable, too safe, too predictable? Because TNA just reminded everyone that wrestling is supposed to be about conflict, about uncertainty, about moments that make you jump out of your seat and wonder what the hell just happened. The timing of this invasion wasn't coincidental either. Femi versus Trick Williams was shaping up to be a star-making performance for both men. With his incredible combination of size, athleticism, and intensity, was showing exactly why he's being positioned as NXT's next big thing. Trick Williams, with his natural charisma and improved in-ring work, was proving he belongs in main event conversations. And then TNA decided to use their moment as the backdrop for their statement. Some people are calling this disrespectful to the wrestlers involved. I'm calling it genius. TNA recognized that this match had the wrestling world's attention, and they capitalized on it in the most impactful way possible. They didn't wait for permission, they didn't ask for approval, they just took the spotlight and reminded everyone that they exist and they are not going anywhere. But let's dive deeper into what this invasion actually looked like, because the execution was flawless. The TNA wrestlers didn't just run in randomly, they came with purpose, with intensity, and with a clear message that they are done being overlooked by the wrestling establishment. The way they surrounded the ring, the way they took control of the situation, it was like watching a military operation. And can we talk about how this makes NXT look? Here's their championship level match, their premium talent, their carefully crafted storylines, and TNA just walks in and steals the show. That takes incredible confidence and sends a message that TNA believes their roster can hang with anyone, anywhere, anytime. What's your take on this? And I really want to hear from you in the comments. Should other wrestling promotions be doing more surprise invasions and unpredictable moments? Because after watching TNA's invasion, everything else feels scripted and safe by comparison. The aftermath was just as electric as the invasion itself. The confusion in the arena, the buzz from the crowd, the scrambling of officials, it created an atmosphere that felt genuinely chaotic and unpredictable. This is what wrestling should feel like. Not every moment needs to be carefully choreographed and focus grouped to death. And here's something that's really eating at me. The wrestling industry has become so obsessed with sports entertainment and corporate synergy that we've lost the raw, unpredictable energy that made wrestling special. TNA just reminded us what we've been missing, and it should make every other promotion take a long, hard look in the mirror. Final question for the comments, and this one's important. After seeing TNA's invasion of NXT, do you think wrestling needs more chaos, more unpredictability, and more moments that feel genuinely surprising? Because I sure as hell do. This invasion wasn't just about one night, it was TNA throwing down the gauntlet and declaring that they are ready to compete with anyone, disrupt anything, and remind the wrestling world that they are a force that can't be ignored. Whether you love it or hate it, you can't ignore it, and that's exactly what TNA wanted. The wrestling landscape just shifted, folks, and TNA fired the first shot. The question now is, how will WWE, AEW, and everyone else respond? Because after the 23rd of September 2025, the game has changed, and TNA just proved they are ready to play by their own rules. What did you think of TNA's invasion? Was it genius or chaos? Let me know in the comments below. Smash that like button if this got you as fired up as it got me, and don't forget to subscribe to Wrestling Zone 1 for more unfiltered wrestling analysis that cuts through the corporate nonsense and tells you what's really happening in the wrestling world.